Hello, it's Aoife from Eurogamer here. As you might know, myself and a couple of other folk in the office hosted a series of podcasts not too long ago called Arcadia Bays. It was a series dedicated to Life is Strange. Now, while the first season of the game might have wrapped up, we still had some burning questions to ask the game's developers about deleted content, about fan responses, and about the hopefully inevitable Season 2. So, since the complete first season has just launched as a physical collector's edition, we got them on a Skype call and asked them. Here's Johnny and Tom chatting to Raoul Barbet, co-game director and producer Luc Baghadoust. And since every single one of them neglected to sing the podcast's theme tune, Arcadia Bays.
Thank you very much for joining us, both of you. It's Tom and Johnny here from Eurogamer, and we really appreciate you giving up your afternoon. I know you're probably busy, it's great to talk about Life is Strange. I went back and played a little bit when the boxed version came out last week, and still have really happy memories of playing it last year.
Awesome. Have you finished the whole season or the whole game?
Oh yeah.
We both did that when it was still being released digitally. I've not gone back to it yet. Now the box edition is out, so I'm still kind of grieving over the ending and everything, frankly. And it's funny. Like I miss the characters in a way. And when I think about Life is Strange, I feel kind of melancholy. Do you guys feel the same now that kind of season 1 is all wrapped up? Do you miss the characters, or do you still feel like they're with you?
No, now we hate them. It's a very good question. Yeah, you're right on this one. Yeah, it's really weird. I think it's the case for the whole team. It's like having been during like 2 years and a half almost with friends, and they are not here anymore. So yeah, it's sad, but we're happy. I think it's the same with the community of players, that they of course try to continue to talk about it, and having this box version is also a good reason to talk again about all this story and those characters. But yeah, I think it's quite sad.
I know it's kind of up to each player to imagine what happens after the story that you guys have told concludes, and obviously it can conclude in two very different ways. But do you guys personally, in your own personal head, have any thoughts about what would happen to Max and Chloe if Max and Chloe went off and survived, the two of them? Would they stay friends? Would they stay together? What do you guys think?
It's a good question. I think this is a question every players ask themselves, and this is also one of the points where players can be disappointing, to not having our thoughts about the future and maybe more precise scenes between Max and Chloe. But the idea was exactly what you were asking, is really it's up to the player after all this journey between Max and Chloe to think about what will be next. And this is also what we wanted to talk about with this game: the difficulty of make some choice and live with them. And of course, this final choice we had it since the beginning of the writing process. I can even say that the whole game is here to be able to come to this choice. It's all the journey and the choices and the sequences you play with Max that will lead you to this choice. So it was really something we wanted since the beginning. So for the next, on my personal opinion, I think as Max I may have saved the town. So I think Max will only add Chloe in her Earth, and we'll try to live with this choice. But yeah, it's my personal choice.
Yeah, that's the ending I went for as well. I think, Tom, you were different, right?
Yeah, I saved Chloe. I kind of justified it to myself in that quite a lot of people had already died, and some people were safe. Kate was away in hospital, there weren't that many people that were going to die, and I'd gone through all the trouble of saving Chloe all the way through the season, so it felt like
But did you see the other ending you didn't choose?
I did watch the other ending, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I've got one friend who wrote to me very funny. He wrote directly after the end. He wrote a letter and say, "I've made my choice. This is most difficult choice I've ever made, but I made it. I can't. I have to stay with her. She tried to justify himself for this choice, and he told me that he will never see the other choice because he won't. It was quite funny to read this, and he was very involved with the character of Max and his relation with Chloe, and it was quite impressive. When you write some character like this, it's always very earth-breaking to see, earth-moving to see how the players relate to them, and we're really happy to see that. And for the final choice, we are also happy to see that we've got 50. I think it's like 46% and 54 for each choice. So it means that it's not so easy to choose, and so I think we achieved what we wanted to have here. This is also this difficult choice to make, and this is what we wanted to do for each choice. A major choice in the game is that there is no black or white choices. We wanted really those choices to be difficult to make. And of course, the last one I think was the most important. So we are really happy to see those numbers.
Sure. I mean, well, whichever choice players make at the end, there are still quite a few things that were left. I feel deliberately unanswered in the game. Like what's going on with Samuel. What about the totem? Why does Chloe's mum keep her eggs by the front door? How do you feel what do you think about the fan response to some of those things? Obviously, people were hoping for answers. Just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I think we give a lot of answers for a lot of questions in the game. Of course, the one you talk about, maybe it's not enough for some players, but I think a lot of questions got their answers. The one about you talk about Samuel and Totem. We didn't want, and even the weather stuff. I think this is what we wanted to tell about them, and not more. I think for a lot of players it's enough, and it's even something interesting to not have all the explanations sometimes. And we all like some mystery staying, I think, in this story, and I don't know if it's quite clear, but sometimes even as a viewer or a player, I'm happy to not have all the answer. And I think here, really, in Life is Strange, we give a lot of answers to a lot of different topics, and even for the one you talk about, Samuel and the totem, you've got some, maybe not explanation, but you've got some hints. And I think this is what is important, is what you're going to do with those hints as a player. But I can completely understand that some players are disappointed because some want really very precise answers to some topics, but as creators we didn't want, it was on purpose that we didn't want to give too many precise answers. It's also something we really wanted to keep for the story, this kind of mystery.
Yeah, I guess it keeps players guessing, and it's a good thing for people to chat about and exchange theories about. One thing that I'm really interested in is if you guys, because obviously you had the ending planned out, but probably like things along the way changed as you were doing the story, and I was just interested to hear about some of your early plans for scenes that maybe changed before they made it into the final season. So I think I heard that you guys were going to do like a robbery in a shop at one point, and I was just wondering like if you can say anything about how the scenes changed, if they did, and where those things would have fitted in.
So just as a reminder, the whole game was written from the beginning, and the whole story. So we didn't change the story along the way. When we started, like Raoul said, the end was already here and all the scenes. But we were able to adapt and change some minor things. Before the first episode, it was easier, but even after the first episode release, based on the reaction of the audience, we were able to make some small changes. And for example, Kate's scene in episode 4, if you manage to save Kate at the end of episode 2, we hadn't this hospital scene at first, but we realized how much Kate was important for the audience and felt it was important to add this.
Yeah, to even to close the character arc for us. We hadn't planned to have this scene at the beginning. For example, it was only a phone call and text, but here it was important to really see Max with Kate and also to have Chloe talk about this. I think it was really important, so we decided to add this scene. And so there is some small scenes like this because for production, on a production point of view and planning and of course we can't add or delete a whole scene with all new characters. It would have been too difficult during the production, but some small adjustments are, of course, were possible. And for the robbery scene you talk about, it's on a very early stage of writing. It's when you think about with this power, with the evolution of the character, how you can talk about this in a scene and also in an interesting sequence as a player on a gameplay point of view. So we think about a lot of different stuff. But it was for the beginning of Max and Chloe relation when Chloe is aware of the power. Of course, as you know, Chloe could have some good ideas like doing robbery or stuff like that. But it was at the very early beginning, and we changed this for this. I think it's a mix now between what you've seen in the dinner and the junkyard scene when you just have fun with the power. But it was the same idea behind the robbery and stuff like that. And you can find also some rest with the money stuff inside. The principal office. This is this kind of thing we wanted to talk about, and the robbery was one of the solution, but it was really at the very, very beginning of the writing process.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, I'm very pleased you put in the scene with Kate in the hospital. I, to be honest, wasn't expecting to see her again. I was expecting, as you originally had planned, maybe some texts or a call. So when we actually went to visit her, especially since, it's a whole new location you guys had to build as an environment, I was really pleased to see that in the game.
We had to fight with Luc for that. the producer, but no, it was okay. But yeah, like you say, I think when you pad in hand, when you enter the room and you see Kate, is really something different from just a phone call, of course. And it was really important for us to have this feeling and to also show that Kate begin to change, and you can see, of course, all those drawings on the wall. These more colorful drawings. Very different from the one you can see in her room when she's alone and she's depressed. So we needed to show this also.
Well, speaking of drawings and art, you guys have always been kind of very involved, I think, in looking at the art and the fan art that's come out of the Life is Strange community. Which I think is really, really nice. It feels like since the game has come out, a lot more of it has started to focus on Max and Chloe's relationship, some of it in quite a graphic way. Are you guys still thrilled with the stuff that's coming out?
So, yeah, we've seen some weird stuff on the page. We were expected, of course, to see, because guys do that with all characters that exist, but we've seen a lot of romantic drawings of Max and Chloe. Mm-hmm. I think it had a huge impact on girls as well, girls who at some age. I think it's a very strong relationship, and it had an impact on a lot of people. I think a part of the reason why the community is so big on Life is Strange and so in love with the game, it's because it appealed to different people that are not usually the main audience for video games. And we have this a lot in indie games nowadays, but from a game with a higher production value, it's quite uncommon. So I think we're gonna have many games like this in the future that will try to reach a wider audience and not just more violent games.
And just talking about the art and the fan art, it's something huge since episode 1, and I was really impressed by this, because when you imagine all those people and players and all this community taking some time to draw those things and write those letters, it's crazy it really means that the character you have created moves them, and it's really something that gives us a lot of strength to the team to continue and to see all those arts. It's crazy. I don't know, just giving a note, and it's something different than taking some time to really draw something, and when you put some of your art inside, and it's really impressive. And I think the team wasn't expecting that to see so many arts linked to this universe.
Just as an example, we received last week a parcel from Alaska from a fan who need 2 posters that we need to send back assigned to Life is Strange posters she made, drawings she made, and T-shirts, and it's really a very loving community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really pleased that you guys showed off some really interesting and unusual characters, at least for a video game, not the kind of people, not the kind of personalities and characters that you often see in a AAA game. That is one of the things which defines Life is Strange for me. A broadcast of characters, really interesting, well-written characters, and a setting that's also kind of a character as well. And I wanted to ask you guys, when you think of Life is Strange, what does that, almost like the brand, what does that mean to you? And can it be anything? Can Life is Strange be anything? Or, for me, Life is Strange is those things, and probably the time rewind thing as well. And I'm just interested to hear what you think of when you're thinking about Life is Strange, the brand. Is it those core values?
Yeah, I think what you've told about the character is something very important for us, and I think it gives the story something very strong. You can have very good games without so. I was going to say well written, but and because I think the character is really something important. We are talking about the voice talent also with Luke just before, and if you give the characters, if you manage to create believable characters that people that would care for them, it will for sure make something strong for a game, and as a story and as a game. And so for sure, Life is Strange is very centered on characters and character evolution, and after we can of course add the themes we wanted to talk about, some realistic themes and some realistic settings. At the beginning of the project, it was also this feeling we wanted to talk about those themes and to talk about everyday life problems, or everyday life, for example, friendship with Max and Chloe. And this is really something we wanted to do, not doing a sci-fi game, for example. So this kind of all those elements together can define, if you want, a Life is Strange brand. But what is sure is that the story of Max and Chloe is told. We wanted to tell this story, and now it's done. So after, we don't know for the future.
You tell me, what is coming up in the future?
We don't know. Yeah, we're playing football in the office. Yeah. No, we really can't talk about that for now. But
sure. Well, you did talk about how you wanted to have some choices come up in situations that one can expect from everyday life. Of course, a couple of those scenarios, and I'm thinking specifically here about the alternate time period where Chloe's asking you to help her end her life. That's a very extraordinary circumstance to find yourself in, and indeed it was a tough choice in the game. Was there ever a moment where your confidence wavered in that scene? Was it a difficult thing to put into the game?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Yeah, of course, we wanted to have those themes and this story in Life is Strange since the beginning, and we're happy also that Square Enix don't change that at all. They trust us and let us do what we wanted to do. So we're really happy with that, because it's quite difficult and rare nowadays. So we really have to say that. But yeah, for this kind of scene, I think you have to be very careful, even as a creator, to tackle those subjects with respect. And as a game, I personally really believe in game as a media and as art, because when you pad in hand, you have to make this choice. I think it's very, very strong, and maybe more than just a movie or a book, because you're an actor inside this story, and this is your choice who will change the character life. So I think with video game you really can, of course you have also to tackle the subject, but you have to be careful to do it with respect. And for the example you take with Chloe, we've made a lot of research about what is to have a child like Chloe, what is to for the family, the difficulties you can have, financial difficulties, but also all, of course, the environment around Chloe, all the medical aspect. We've made a lot of research. We've read a lot of blogs about people like Chloe. So it's difficult, of course, when I was talking with the guys. I'm working on the camera with the guys, and when we are talking, I see them shooting and framing all those sequences day after day. It was quite difficult, of course, because it could be dark and difficult to live. So we really wanted to take some time, and for the choice you talk about, to really have the times for the player to think about it, to be sure to not gamify, this kind of sequence. I think it's also dangerous to, for example, put some percentage or score on top of this kind of scene, and you really have to be careful about what you're talking about and to be sure that it's done the right way. So yeah, we've got a lot of debates here at DONTNOD and with Square to be sure that this is the right way to talk about this subject. But yeah, I hope it's the case.
Did you guys learn anything over the production of Life is Strange Season 1 that you think will, really serve you in good stead for future projects? Is there anything in particular that you came on while making the season that you think you can, you will carry forward?
I think we had, because it was our first episodic game, and the same for Square Enix as well, we had a lot of difficulties, like technical ones we hadn't expected. Like the first episode you released, you miss a piece of code that needs to be here. So, okay, maybe we're going to do a patch for episode 2, but it's going to be the last one. And in the end, you have a patch for every episode. So it's a lot of additional work. Same thing for, things like age rating. We weren't expecting, because the first episode is kind of it's much less darker than the other ones. So we had this 12 age rating in some regions on the first one, and then we learned that we cannot have a 16 plus in the other ones, where the whole game, as the whole game couldn't work with only a 12 plus. So we had kind of these episodic related difficulties. I think we would save time on another game, and also on the design point of view, we learn as well.
Yeah, we wanted to have an episodic format for the writing process since the beginning, and it pushed us also to focus on some aspect of the story. For example, I think you're more efficient when you've got a 2 or 3 hours long. You've got a story for each episode. It's like doing 5 mini games, in fact. So you in a story point of view and a character arc evolution point of view, you really have to be efficient for each episode. So it learned us to be able to be sure that the player have all the information for each character, for each sequence. And yeah, on a writing point of view, it's really interesting, and I think we can use this knowledge also for maybe even a longer game, like a 20 or 30 hours long game. It will be the same process, but with episodic, it pushes us to be really efficient.
Yeah, I think you guys did a really good job, and I know, like, we've talked about it as a AAA game, but you are still quite a small, tight-knit group of guys, and obviously, other people at the studio are working on Vampire as well. So and I guess that kind of leads into my next question, which is that I know you guys are a small team, but and Life is Strange Season 1 sort of took 2 years to make. Do you think that fans of the game will need to wait that long for more?
That's a good question. It's hard to say for the moment. The thing we know is that we don't want if for another game for this team, because Vampire is made with another team.
Yeah.
Life is Strange, the team. What we're gonna do next? We cannot talk about this yet, but for sure we cannot. We don't want to rush things and do things badly. So we want to make sure we have the perfect story and the perfect game. So. Yeah, I cannot say more, but we.
Good answer, Luc.
Sorry, politician. And
sorry for that.
No, that's fine. Just one more question, and we'll let you go. Frank really cares about those beans that he's eating in Raoul's diner. Is there something in his backstory that kind of was the driving force for that? I mean, why does he love beans so much?
I think it's not that he loves beans so much, but it's his beans, He was going to eat those beans, and yeah, I think we will.
We were really happy when we read the lines from the orator, those lines, and of course it's like the whole game. I would say it's if you got this character, because I love the Frank character. I think his evolution is really cool and could be different from one player to another. So I really love him and the fact that he's got a dog, and really happy. But yeah, when you see this character, you have got the writing process done by Christian Divine, and you've got those cues, so funny cues, but you don't really know if it will work. And after you've got the voice actor who give this kind of line, it's really something magic that happens, and it's really cool to see that. And of course, make a game is gathered a lot of talents like this, and when you see that the magic happens for one line, is really cool. And it's really cool to see all those memes about this.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for your time, and thank you for your feedbacks, and it was really cool. Thank you.
Excellent. Cool. Well, hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks,
thank you
guys.
again.